Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
My name is Paul Nolz, and I'm the pastor of the Rock Church, and I've coached Nandua High School and Nandua Middle School for many years. Of course, when I was coming through school, there was no soccer on at the high school level like it was here on the Eastern Shore in the early 90s. And had a good gym teacher in elementary school, and he rotated the sports instead of just walking around in a circle in the field or doing some exercises. He actually would roll a ball out and play a little soccer or throw the football type of thing. And so that was probably my first exposure. It wasn't very structural. There wasn't a lot of soccer anywhere. There's no youth programs as far as I could remember. But it was a lot of running, and it was fun. And probably lay dormant till I got into Bible school. And while I was in Bible school, I had a best friend who used to organize soccer matches with the merchant marines that would dock up in Norfolk, and they'd come off the ships looking for activities that they could do. And so part of the outreach of the church, he would organize those games and invite athletes from the church that had some sports background to play. And out of that friendship, I would go out and play, and remembered a little bit from earlier on. Always was involved with sports, so the conditioning wasn't really an issue. And did that for a couple years while we were in school and in church together. And so rolling the clock forward, when my kids were coming along, Darcy's Sports Shop, Warren was helping Tom Rakowski start a soccer league, and I didn't hear about it until late. So I was attempting to get my children signed up, and it was late, and so I got a phone call from him and said, "Well, Paul, if you want your kids to play, we've got some leftovers that signed up late, and we have 3 teams, so that we could form the 4th team, and that would work out really good for the league. Would you be interested in coaching?" So, of course, I said yes. This was 86, and this gave me an opportunity to have time with my children, which I'm a firm believer in, especially for the dads of the homes. They need some quality time with their kids. Doesn't need to be structured. It's just minutes invested. Plus, it was something that I could control the culture that my children would be exposed to. And so I took on the team with the leftovers that nobody else wanted. And we played at the old Parksley High School behind there, and the dads built some wooden goals. And so we jumped in, played 11v11, which is different than what the younger ones start out with now. And we were horrible. And so we got killed every game for the round robin. So that was six games. And so it went into the knockout tournament. And I had enough sports background, and one of the things that I think God's gifted me with is that I've there's certain things that I can just naturally see in a game. And so I grew as a coach, and kids kind of got them a little organized. And so my daughter was playing, and then my 6-year-old son was playing, and the league went up to 12 years old. So it was a 6-year-old against a 12-year-old. And I had a boy that I think it was 11 or 12, and he had been diagnosed with cancer. And so he probably made about half of the games. And so we went into the first round of the tournament. The first place team that was beating us like 10 or 12 to nothing was playing us. And somehow, some way, in the first half, Don, the young guy who was diagnosed with cancer, kicked the ball from about midfield, and it floated over this tall goalkeeper's head and into the goal. And so I had enough sense to know that if you make it crowded in front of the goal like a forest, that maybe we would get lucky or fortunate and win 1-0. So that's what we did, and we won. Of course, we lost in the finals. My kids were very athletic, so from '86 to the early '90s, they grew. I kind of grew in that area, and they looked, and their friends who played for my team made me look a whole lot better than what I was, to be honest. They just started winning local championships, and yeah, just more kids wanted to get involved and looked like it was fun. So the parents that were having a great time with the kids playing began to talk to principals and the school board, and that they wanted to have this sport called soccer, available for their kids. And of course, it was already a state sport, sponsored sport, but it was not on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. Finally, the superintendent okayed it, and I had been kind of praying a little bit, and it's like I had heard from the parents that they were going to start the league, and I was like, maybe Mr. Thomas, Larry Thomas at that time at Nandua, maybe he'll give me a call. And sure enough, the phone rang, and he introduced himself to me. I had met him when he was a teacher at Arcadia High School. And so when the phone rang, he said, parents tell me that, you kind of know the game of soccer, and would you be interested in becoming the high school coach? And I said, well, I'll pray and I'll talk to my board about it. And of course I decided, yeah, that would be something to do. And I was looking for something to do to help our community. And at that time, for drug prevention, they would let groups come in, and I used to organize kids that had been on drugs and had rough backgrounds, and they had put together a little band called Second Chance, and they would come in and kind of tell their story of how they had made some poor decisions and gotten strung out, and how Jesus came into their life and turned it all around. And a lot of people don't know, but I have, say kind of big, kind of a rough background myself, and went through a lot of changes when I was 21. And if I had not changed, probably would be dead now. And but that background gives me a heart for kids, especially broken kids that have fallen between the cracks. So when I coach, my heart, my eyes go to the kids there. It's not always the best athlete. That's never what I've been all about, even though I do enjoy winning. And God's granted me a lot of success in this area, but not for my own ego, but for His purposes. To be able to touch kids spiritually and try to help families just come alongside.
For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelley Gaskell.